1, 2, 3, 4.
The really
fun,
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 it's a really fun wow show. The really
fun.
the really fun wow show. Oh, how fun. Hello and welcome to the Really Fun Wow Show. My name is Daren Thomas McGee. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Thanks for coming back. Really appreciate that. Last episode, I sent out a bit of a desperate plea to seek a little validation in what I'm doing in hopes that I could understand why it is I'm doing this for the sake of you all who listen. And I received a few really beautiful responses, and so I feel validated to continue on with this project, which still to me is like a, I don't know, it's almost like a diary of sorts at this point, I think. I understand that if you're not interested in me as a person or as an artist, that you could very well find this to be of no value or interest whatsoever. But it turns out that there's some people who are interested in me as a person and therefore are interested in what I have to say, which is, it's a lot. I mean, it's interesting to understand that I have any importance. There's times in my life where people take interest in areas of my life that I don't understand why you would. And then I understand there's areas in my life that I kind of consciously seek out in order to understand better myself, and therefore it has an inherent value and interest to other people. And specifically in regards to my desire to explore my consciousness. And most relevantly, I started a ketamine assisted therapy program on Saturday, which was 2 days ago. So I'm very much still in the integration process, and I feel like taking to the microphone would be a way to, I guess, just put it on record and further help me process it and integrate it. So welcome. Welcome to this. And I won't go too deep into the kind of the background history, biology, chemicalology of ketamine. There's a number of resources out there that for anyone who's interested, you can seek out yourself. But I will say that my interest in ketamine started a few years ago now. I'd heard of it. I saw that it was beginning to take hold in this kind of quasi psychedelic space where I was, a few years ago, I was interested in kind of throwing my hat in the ring in regards to investing in psychedelics financially, because I had already invested so much mentally and emotionally. And I thought, man, I mean, I really see this as the future of therapy, of everything, a future of understanding ourselves better as a species. And I saw that there was starting to be some movement in kind of the capitalistic arena for psychedelics. So I did a little bit of dabbling in research, and I saw that there's a company called Field Trip, which set up a number of clinics around the country, I think around the world, that facilitate ketamine sessions. And at that point, that was when ketamine kind of came on my radar as like, oh wait, this is being used therapeutically, and wait, what is this? It's not a psychedelic, not a traditional psychedelic, but it has psychedelic properties. And I kind of, not that I dismissed it, but I thought, well, you know, I want to invest in this company because it seems as if they're getting into setting up the infrastructure to facilitate psychedelic assisted therapies. And for right now, ketamine is the only one that's federally legal and has always been legal. And so they're going to be doing this through ketamine, and then eventually they'll have the infrastructure established that when psilocybin eventually becomes legal, that they already have the infrastructure set up for it. So I threw, a little bit of money, nothing huge into it, and thought that was a good place to kind of establish my interest. And, you kind of put money towards things that you believe in. So that was that. And I looked into it and I say, well, if I'm an investor, I should look into pursuing the offerings that this company has available. And I looked into it, and I'll be honest with you, it was a little bit of it felt a little bit financially challenging to pursue. And it was also, it's not, I let a few things get in the way. It was, it's like logistical, having to get down that it's in LA, and I'm about an hour and a half from there. And so, there's an element of logistical hurdles and life and all these things get in the way, where I ultimately didn't pursue it through through that channel, but still continued to hold my investments and in belief that this could potentially be something down the road. And so it wasn't until I spoke with my therapist, and I discovered a few years into seeing him, his interest and his participation in the psychedelic space in regards to therapeutic value, and found out that he is involved with a ketamine clinic here in my area. And we talked about it, and it was something that was as easy as scheduling a session. And to me, it was pretty incredible to go from fascination and having an interest again in this kind of novel space of like, okay, well, what's available to us as human beings to heal, to grow, to learn, to experience, and then it being available through my therapist, who I have 5+ years experience with and feel very comfortable and trust him implicitly. So that led us to this Saturday where me, him, and a physician who runs the clinic, who's a emergency physician who had his own experiences with ketamine through, using it with patients, and then discovering, all the kind of the research that's coming out, and his own interest in it, bringing it to a clinical sense and offering it to the public, which is to me still, like, I think part of my public service, if you can call it that, in these experiences, is to kind of bring this information to an audience that may not have just come across it themselves organically. So again, ketamine has never been not legal, and now it's available. And I know there's a hurdle aspect to it. A lot of it, like financially, it's expensive, I would say. But oftentimes when I try to quantify these experiences and put them up against money, you say, all right, well, like what's healing worth to you, and what's a novel kind of once in a lifetime experience worth to you, and what is growth and all that stuff. And it ends up kind of just being like, okay, well, it's an investment. It's an investment in myself. So Saturday afternoon, I showed up to the clinic, and my therapist and the doctor were there waiting for me. And it's weird because it still felt kind of clandestine. It still felt like we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing, in the eyes of the law, at least. And showed up to this kind of pretty nondescript business park where there was like various kind of medical offices. And I just like wonder if the neighbors know what's going on in here. And I don't know, there's still such like a naughtiness to it, that it's, we're not supposed to be doing this, but again, it's federally legal, so we're not doing anything wrong. So like having to like deprogram the fact that we might be doing something that we're not supposed to. And yeah, they were waiting for me when I got there, and we went upstairs to this small room where there was a recliner, and it was dimly lit, and there was some cushions on the floor that they were sitting on, and they got me set up in the chair and took my blood pressure, and he kind of just went over what the protocol was going to be. And so for the first session, and the way that I know it's different for different clinicians, but this one was set up where we're sort of encouraged to do 3 as close as possible to each other, 3 sessions. First one being sublingual, which now I get to use the word sublingual. Never used that word before. I think that means putting it under your tongue. So we do it in a form of a lozenge, which has a bit of a bite to it, and you're meant to put the lozenge under your tongue, swish it around for 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, he'll come over and you spit out just the saliva that was built from the swishing. And ideally, you're off and on your way. For me, I did it for the 15 minutes, and then he checked in. I took my blindfold off, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm not really noticing any real effect here." So he gave me 2 more, which the maximum dose for the sublingual is 3 lozenges. So I had the 3, and then had to do another 15 minutes of swishing, and by that point, could feel that I was in an altered state. And I pulled my blindfold down, had my headphones on, and the headphones, there's music being piped through where it's a company called Waveform. I haven't looked into it myself, but it seems to be a psychedelic specific music company, which is pretty cool. I think I don't know, again, I'll have to look into it, or you guys can on your own, but they, I think it's like an algorithmic based music production thing. I don't know. Anyway, it's very like, kind of like atmospheric and just kind of spacey. And it's, to be honest, it was a little bit difficult at times, and maybe I don't know. I don't say difficult in a bad sense, but in a way that was just like, oh wow, this is not eerie, but heavy. I don't know. I guess maybe I can kind of continue to decipher what the feeling was behind the music or the association. Do you hear that? That was me scratching my beard. So I had the headphones on and could tell even before I'd finished swishing the second 2 lozenges that I was very, very ready to cry. I could feel it right at the top of my throat, and I wasn't able to really embrace that because I had the job of swishing the medicine around. And by the time I was done with the 15 minutes, spit out the lozenge, put the blindfold down, and just broke into heavy, heavy, heavy tears. And those tears were, yeah, like I said, they were right there. And I'm in a period in my life right now, which I'm sure anyone who listens to this show knows, that I'm in this kind of transitional period between, what am I between? I'm in kind of a solitary place right now. I'm feeling a real deep sense of loneliness. And I think that's what I started to cry immediately was that, like, the ketamine is a disassociative, and what it's disassociating from, I'm not exactly sure, but it does feel like that's an apt description for it. Like, I felt disconnected, and I think I already came in with a level of disconnection that it was like it shot me into space, and I immediately felt alone. I felt alone in space. Like, I felt like there was nobody for millions of miles in either direction. But then I knew, in a very real sense that Charlie, when we started, the physician steps out, and it's just Charlie, my therapist, and I almost worried that I said his name. But again, this is all legal. we're not doing anything wrong. Oh my God, it's so strange to get over that, to get over the fact that this is on the up and up. So Charlie stayed in the room with me, and I sensed him, like I had the blindfold on, but I knew obviously that he was there, and I cried because he was there, because he was a presence. He has been a presence in my life. He's seen me through some very difficult times in these past 5 years. And I cried because he was there, and I cried for happiness that he was there. And he was just like this kind of stoic, just ever present, consistent person for me. And that made me cry. But then I was off in space, floating around in the infiniteness. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And again, when I'm already feeling that way, and to be kind of like punched in the face with it, of like, yeah, dude, you are alone. Like you're out here. You have no one. And not in like in a mocking way, or in a way that I wasn't already aware of, but I think it just amplified to the degree that it was like, wow, this is real. This is a place you're in right now. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. Again, like none of this, I want to, when I get through this episode, I don't want anyone to feel like this is like I had a bad experience, or that this was bad. I'm not, I'm beyond prescribing good and bad to anything. This is and was what I experienced. It is and was what I'm going through. And that's okay. Like this is the process here. This is what I'm experiencing, and the awareness that's around that is the most important thing. There's no denying it. There's no hiding from it. There's no numbing it out. I'm in a deeply, deeply sober state around the fact that right now I feel loneliness. And right now I feel that there's a part of my life that isn't present. And it's just a reminder of what it is I want, and what it is that I don't have, and what I'm able to get by with and without. Like it's important. It's really important for me to be shown these things in a heavy way, in a way that's just like, there's no denying any of this. There's no denial in my experience right now. There's a sadness, there's a loneliness, and that's what I'm experiencing. And what this experience did for me was give me that perspective from a much more macro way. And so I had a couple of times early on in the session, I was here on Earth, and then I sort of started to drift away, and I could see the planet getting smaller, and I'm getting further and further away from the planet. And I'm far enough away where I can't even see our planet anymore. And I'm going back and back and back and back. If there is a back in space, I'm backing away from Earth, where we all reside. And it's getting smaller and smaller. And then I'm just out there in the infiniteness of nothing. And in that, what an amazing way to gain perspective on our level of insignificance. And I say that in a way that's not like, again, not negative or bad, but in a way that allows me to understand, in a moment that feels like everything is going wrong, or nothing is right, or anything that you could have as potential, again, badness. It's not. It's just so insignificant, and it's so minuscule, and really just, I don't know. It's weird to say nothing matters, but to put the phrase nothing matters onto something that feels like it really matters. Like, oh my God, this is like, when is this going to end? Or when am I going to stop this suffering? Like, the nothing matters in that is actually like a salve. It's definitely like, man, this is nothing to worry about. You're good. Like, this is just a blip. And that's another thing that felt really, really, I felt very aware of in this space, is that this is just a blip in time. Just a fucking, not even a quantifiable fraction of time that this existence is. And so again, having that perspective, what do you do with that? Do you spend your days worrying, or do you spend your days celebrating because you know that this is a blip in time? Like it's a really valuable information to hold, to know that this is but a mere blip in time. And that's another perspective I got, is the relativity of time. This is really like nothing in if you're going to zoom out and see it against the scale of the universe or existence. This is nothing at all. And so in your 24 hours of the day, what are you choosing to focus on? What are you choosing to hold in regard and close to you and important? What are you willing to let go of? It's a reevaluation of everything when you have this deep of an experience. And I see all the places that I'm still challenged. I see all the places that I make myself small, and that I kowtow. I think that's right. Kowtow. The way that I kowtow to others, and the way that I don't advocate for myself, and all the ways that I feel guilt and shame. And I think what it did for me is bring up all of the, again, it's not bad, but if we can maybe put it into like light and dark, all of the dark things that I'm experiencing, all the things that I think are going to be the thing that brings me back to this planet once I'm dead, or, you know, however the reintroduction of souls happens. All of the things that will hold me to this planet, all of the things that will that won't allow me to be a free soul once I pass. And so this is the work that I'm doing in order to unshackle myself from the confines of my humanness. And there's still a lot to fucking go. And I don't think, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I feel like I'll maybe have a couple more rounds here, at least on this planet, or at least the next, the second half of my life, which, you know, I've said before, I don't think that I'm going to die at 80, but I'm certainly I'm halfway through right now. So this second half is going to require even more work to undo the things that are keeping me bound, and keeping me in suffering, and keeping me in sadness, and keeping me in this micro view of myself. And another moment I had where I recognized the sadness that I was feeling, I could see how you can stay in one place and look up and see that the sky is just covered in clouds. In any direction you look, it's all clouds. And how you can really just believe that that's it, that there's just clouds. There's just this darkness hanging over me. And you can accept that in a way that then becomes your state of mind, and the way that you operate in the world, as if the clouds are always there and will always be there. And what this session offered was, again, it zoomed out far enough to see, oh, there's systems here. There's a weather system above you right now. And if you look further off into the distance, you'll see that there's actually no clouds, and this stuff moves, and this stuff changes, and there's cycles to these systems. So that alone is just something to hold on a daily basis of like, man, this will change. This will be different. It's been different. You know, you've had clear skies and cloudy skies, and you'll have clear skies and cloudy skies again. And so, again, just removing the judgment from it and saying anything was bad is, I think, is really, really important. And I had this moment when I came out of the whole session. It's a fucking trip. I mean, clearly what feels like kind of the immensity of what a psilocybin experience is, anywhere between like 4, 5, 6 hours. This is compressed into an hour. And so it's a lot in a very tight, it's a tight hour. And so when I came out of it, I sat on the floor, and Charlie came and joined me on the floor, and I talked to him for a little while. And I just said, I feel so sad that I feel happy. That it felt like it went all the way around. If sadness is a circle or emotion is a circle, and I went, oh, I'm so sad all the way around. And I came back to happy. And then I started crying. And I said, I don't even know. I can't even tell if those are happy tears or sad tears. So again, there is nothing, and there is everything. And I just wish you all, what do I wish you all? I think just healing and love and just getting by. I think we just got to get by here. And there's so much that we can do for ourselves to just take care of ourselves. You know, I think it's really what it also did for me was what I think comparing something like a psilocybin trip, where I often come out of it with a feeling of connectedness and oneness and like that reminder of the benevolent, loving source energy that is out there. This, you know, and that could be like a +1 of an experience. And with ketamine, it's -1. And so you are just like, everything is taken away. Everything is gone. And here you are, yourself. Now what? Now what do you do? And it's a lot. It's a remarkable challenge. It's not for, I think there has to be such a willingness to have it all taken away in order to reevaluate and to understand what it is you can do on your own, what you're capable of, where you find yourself in moments of stillness and silence. And I mean, I'll never stop doing psychedelic work. And I also feel like there's a value to both of these, to the +1 and the -1, where, of course, what a good feeling to be reminded that you're loving energy and that there's this benevolent source that looks over you. Of course, that feels amazing, and who wouldn't want to be wrapped in that all the time? And then I think there's also really, really a lot of value to have that just ripped away from you and see if you can still stand in yourself and in your own awareness and your own capacity to love yourself. Yeah. This is the start of a very interesting chapter of my life, and I really appreciate everyone who follows me in all the ways that I can be followed, and I just feel really grateful in my sadness and grateful in my joy and all that shit. I love you.
That was the really fun wow show. All right, we're done.
Yep.
Okay, bye.